What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of The Frequency. I'm your host, Dee Barnes. Now, this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and I am really focusing on the women of the culture, and I have the best guest today, the epitome of what it means to be an MC. I'm talking bar for bar, nobody could touch her. And we're going to find out why. She is Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess. Welcome, sis. I couldn't wait to get you on.
Oh, man, I'm so glad to be here, lady.
Yes.
It's a mutual admiration society going on right now.
I'm telling you, I am fangirling out because out of all the MCs, and I'm not just gassing you up, out of all the MCs I've ever seen, male, female, whatever, your live shows are incredible. It's just something about your presence on the stage that really makes the title MC move the crowd.
Wow.
You got that crown, sis.
Oh, wow.
You got that crown. You've inspired me in many ways. You've inspired other women in many ways. And one of the things that really drove me to trying to get you on this platform is that you are a legendary West Coast artist, but you're known like underground, so to speak. They always would put you in the underground category. And I think you should be, completely mainstream. And I don't know how you feel about that. We're going to get into that. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you, and also to talk about, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, how you fit in this, how your career has been developed. And, we're going to start from the beginning because I want to know, you were born and raised in California, right?
Absolutely.
So how many generations deep are you in California?
My family has actually been in Cali since the 20s.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother went to Dorsey High. My father went to Dorsey High.
Wow. My cousin went to Dorsey High. My first introduction out here in California, I came out like in 86. So California 86. And my cousin she was a senior at Dorsey High.
Wow.
Yep. And that's how I met my dancers too, with Body and Soul, the Groovers, Kitty and Kimball. They both went to Dorsey High.
That's ill.
Wow.
That's an exceptional artist school.
It really is.
My mom was a dancer at Dorsey, and Billy Graham was there at the time. I'm sorry, Billy Preston.
Oh,
and
wow.
He played keys at a lot of her recitals.
Really?
So it was pretty heavy.
Okay, so what high school did you go to?
I went to a lot of high schools, girl.
Yeah, so did I. So did I, actually.
But my mom moved around a lot, and I wasn't in LA. We were in Pomona. Okay. So I went to Ontario High. I went to Nogales in West Covina.
Right.
I went to Marshall in Pasadena.
Oh,
so
okay.
These are all of the different schools. We used to ditch in Pomona our last period to come out to LA and battle other pop lockers at Garfield.
Right. Now, see, that's what I want to get into too, because before you became an MC, especially since we're talking about the 50th anniversary, how do you feel about the elements of hip hop? I'm talking about the MCing, the DJing, the beatbox, the graffiti.
I use all of it. All of it matters. All of it has its place.
Right.
When it became industrialized, I should say, they tried to separate these elements when they all really do belong together. So I've done shows with a DJ, the curtain open, and Mere One is hitting up the canvas behind us, finishing up a piece. DJ gets down. It goes segues into a live band. We're changing clothes behind the screens and coming out, so beatboxers, click the super Latin, they'll come and get down for me. So, I've used all the elements in all of my shows.
Yes, definitely. And I'm getting ahead of myself because I know that you were a pop locker before you got to be an MC. But I want to back up even further and talk about, when did you decide that you wanted to be in the music industry? Because I know you have a lineage with your aunt, famous aunt, Billy Ray Calvin of the Undisputed Truth. And since this is, June Black Music Month, we've got to talk about her legacy, and how it influenced you.
Absolutely. Look, they did a West Coast tour, right, and they were opening for the Jackson 5.
Oh, wow.
I was 7 years old, and my auntie came and picked me up, asked my mom if she could take me with her. So I went on this run, and I got to watch the Undisputed Truth win over a crowd every night in a different city. Wow. That really came to see the Jackson 5. So imagine they're brand new. They get out there. People are like, who are they? Until they do Smiling Faces. Right. They were familiar with that. And then the full set with the live band, they'd have them won over by the end. They'd run off the stage sweaty. My auntie would pick me up, or Joe would pick me up. We'd run to the back. The excitement, those moments, me meeting all of the Jacksons on this tour, walking out and catching my mom with my aunt with Jackie Jackson, kissing and, fondling, and, they were just memories of standing backstage next to Randy Jackson and Michael Jackson. That was everything for me.
Unbelievable. I gotta ask you, did you witness them doing Dance Machine? Was that too early?
No, that was too early. This is when Randy Jackson was playing the percussion for the first time with the band.
Oh, my goodness. And how was that experience? Like, how were they? Because they were young too at the time.
And we're around the same age. So it allowed me to feel like, anything's possible. I can do this at this age. So when I got off of this tour with them, I wrote my first song. It was, me and my Uncle Troy. Troy was playing
age 7.
This is 7 and he was 9. He's playing. We're coming up with guitar licks and got an upside down Trick or Treat pumpkin head. And I'm playing the percussions. And we wrote a hook called Angel in the Sky. You're like an angel in the sky. Just really thinking we doing something. And my auntie came home and came into the room and heard us doing this, right?
Yes.
I would say about maybe 7 years later, I had to have been 12, 13. I'm sitting in the living room with my mom and my grandfather, and we're listening to KACE at that time. And this was like very few signals that actually reached out to Pomona.
Right.
So out of nowhere, a new song by Rolls Royce. You're like an angel in the sky. I was blown away. My auntie wrote Wishing on a Star, but she also took that hook and wrote Angel in the Sky for Rolls Royce. And that was the very first.
So she had to be a big influence. I mean, your mom too, because she was an artist. She had to be a big influence on you and showing you how to structure songs. Or actually, no, it sounds like it came naturally though.
It did, because that was the time of vinyl. You not only listen, you read the liner notes. You read along with the song. There was a breakdown, a chart for you already if you paid attention to it.
Exactly.
And I grew up with a lot of different styles of music, so it was a Motown sound. It was also things like Carole King, Phoebe Snow, Elton John, so So because of all of those different sounds, even a John Coltrane, it helped me to embrace the different styles of writing too. So I never thought there was a right or wrong way. I just knew what felt good.
Right. Exactly. So then did you, as a child, did you want to be in the music industry because of that surrounding and influence?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Like that's what you wanted to be when you grew up. You're like, I was going to do something in the industry.
Girl, you better believe it. And then, going to church, going to Baptist church and,
Right.
and seeing people sing and catch the Holy Ghost and falling out on the ground and running outside and recollecting themselves and coming back. You talking about bad.
Yes.
So I was like, ooh, I can sing like that.
Yes.
Hey, I want to do that. I want to be an Aretha Franklin. You talking about watching Soul Train. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. We're going to get into Soul Train in a minute. We're going to take a break right now on the frequency. We'll be back with Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Right here on the frequency with your host D Barnes and my special guest Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess. Okay, we got to get into that name in a minute, but I want to further go into your childhood ambition. You said being around the music industry and having that that aunt and her legacy, incredible. She did write the song for Rolls Royce, the "Wishing on a Star."
Mm-hmm.
So basically. From those songwriting roots, that's when you wanted to, start performing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes,
and then we were talking about vinyl. So do you collect vinyl? Because I happen to love it.
I do have vinyl. Yes, ma'am. I actually have an old school a cabinet, with the speakers inside. You lift up the top and there's a turntable and it works. Has the original diamond head needle. And yes, and that's where I play my warm vinyls at on this cabinet.
Yes, record shopping for me is like one of my biggest joys. It really has been like something that sustained me for years. You know what I mean? From like the first moment, because I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up, in New York, and then I came out here, like I said, in the '80s, the late '80s. But everywhere I went, I always had records with me. You would think I was a DJ. Never DJ'd, but I love me some records and I love collecting them and listening to them and, just celebrating music in general. So I have to ask you, out of all of that and the music and the vinyl and the influence, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Wow.
Like your earliest memories too of
probably Rapper's Delight. After that, pop locking is really what indoctrinated me in hip hop. I don't even think I realized it was hip hop at that time.
Right.
It was a happening. Mm-hmm. It was a moment of release. It was the moment of camaraderie, to meet new youth without it being gang banging. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it kind of flowed into each other. Mm-hmm. If you were into hip hop, it was because of vinyl. Right. You know what I mean? There were those old familiars that were sampled that created boom bap.
Right. So, exactly. The break beats.
Yeah. So I'm sitting right now looking across the room at an Isley Brothers album, a Dizzy Gillespie, a Confunction album, a Nina Simone album. Yes. So all of those meant something in hip hop. But when it came down to pop locking, that was the 80s. That funk, that techno funk that came along. That created the beat, the Roger Troutman, the funk of a more bounce. You know what I mean? Those were things that we hit to. Mm-hmm. And you got to understand, out here on the West Coast, we're spread out. So me being in Pomona, there was a certain style of pop locking that happened there. And it was hits. we did a lot of hitting, and we hit hard in a different way than a boogaloo, a different way than a bop. Those were different styles. So when people saw Pomona walk in the building, it was a whole nother thing that was about to happen. You know?
Really?
Yeah. That was a hit that nobody else messed with.
Okay, so wait. So did you mention Soul Train earlier? Is that where you first saw like the pop locking, or was it something in the neighborhood, in the streets? Walk us through that.
It was Soul Train. You know, you wake up with your cereal and you watching cartoons and you're waiting for Soul Train to come on.
Yes, every Saturday. Every Saturday.
And when Soul Train came on, I mean, the lockers were the first thing we saw.
Right. You know, shout out to Don Campbell.
Come on now. Come on. Don was killing it. And then came the Poppin' Dominoes.
Poppin' Dominoes. Okay, tell me about that. They were on Soul Train? Because I remember the lockers. I remember lockers. Shout out to Shabadoo.
Come on now.
Tony Basil, right?
Tony Basil, yes.
I know I'm missing a bunch of rerun because I actually met him. I met him at World on Wheels.
Come on.
Woo, World on Wheels back in the day.
Back in the day, we used to battle there so hard.
Really?
My crew, the Groovatrons.
The Groovatrons.
And we had a brother named Michael Pierce in our crew, and him and Shrimp, Boogaloo Shrimp, would battle constantly. Every time they saw each other, it had to happen.
Wow.
Another team member, Lawrence, him and what was it, Scorpio. Used to battle Michael Jackson. You know, the Michael Jackson imitation. It wasn't even about popping for them. They were the Michael Jackson imitators.
Wow.
And they would battle doing that. So it was an amazing time. But I was popping in Pomona. I had a crew pull up to my school at Ontario High. It was the Pinto Club. The Pinto Club pulled up. They pulled the house speaker out the back, sat it on the sidewalk, and played more bounce.
Wow.
And was calling out anybody that thought they could pop lock. They got out the car and they was surfing it.
Ooh,
so everyone ran into the school and said, "We gonna get somebody," and came and got me.
What?
Yeah. So because I'm watching the Poppin' Dominoes in the lockers. You know, the first move I learned was to pancake, jump in the air, land on your booty, get up, and you know. So I go out front and I'm hitting. I'm like, oh shit, I'm representing the school right now. I really have to do it.
And as a woman, right? Because you were battling a man.
Come on. Three men.
Three men.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So you got Boardman, Daryl Stokes, and Michael Pierce. And I give it all I got. When I was done, they asked me to be a part of their crew.
What? That is so dope. Were there other women that were pop locking? Because I mean, I can't think of many.
Oh, but check this out. These are some of the folks that people sleep on.
Right.
Queen Boogaloo. Queen Boogaloo taught little Coco, little Hispanic Coco, the little boy. She taught him how to pop lock.
Okay.
And people don't mention that.
No, they don't.
Only mention Coco or Poppin' Pete. And I'm like, no, Queen Boogaloo was his teacher.
Wow. See,
I would battle her often.
Right. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I love this platform, because we could talk about the foundations. We could talk about the shoulders that we stand on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm glad you brought her up. I have to look her up because I've never heard of her. How about, do you know other women that
there was a pop locker they call Mama. Okay. And Mama created the move called the ET.
What?
Where you shrink your head down and your shoulders and bring it back up. And she created that move.
Wow. See what I'm talking about? Okay. What was your name in the pop locking days?
Lady Tick Tut.
Lady what?
Tick Tut.
Tick Tut, like King Tut.
Like Tick. My tick was hard and my tut.
Yeah.
My tuts were big.
I love it. That's dope, Queen. That is dope. So come on now. How did you transition from pop locking to MCing?
Well, you know, when you're a part of a crew, you got to do more than just one element.
Right.
You know, there were a lot of break dancers back in the day that were graffiti artists too.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
even today, actually. But me, I was like, well, I wanna write a few rhymes. I was already into songwriting, and poetry, so I felt like they kind of went hand in hand.
Yes.
You know, no one could tell me any different anyway.
That's
so
right.
I had a few rhymes on deck, and but my focus was pop locking. I couldn't wait to get to Monopolies, Club Monopolies, Uncle Jam's Army.
We got to talk about that. Hold on. You brought up the subject I wanted to hit. We're going to take a break right now on the frequency. We'll be back with Medusa.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Back right here on the frequency with your host D Barnes and my special guest Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess. What up, sis?
What's up, mama?
Yo, we are covering so much West Coast history, and I'm loving this because, like I said, I'm from the East Coast. And I know a lot of people on the West Coast, they know the history. You know what I mean? But like, not everyone. And then you just gave us some really good jewels about the women, because the women in the industry always seem to get overlooked. Like, I didn't know about the two that you just named, you know, from the pop locking days.
Right.
So something you brought up earlier that I got excited about when you said Uncle Jam's Army.
Woo, girl.
Okay, I got exposed to that when I came out here, and it was like mind blowing. I couldn't believe it. You could just like dance all night, and then the up tempo beats, and then I saw the crews doing their thing. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I just like submerged myself in like the West Coast hip hop, and then I saw it transition from that fast style to like the slow bass that came in around the 86, 87 with like. Ooh. Rodney O and Joe Cooley, you know, the everlasting bass. I saw the transition from the high tempo. And then, you know, I love Egyptian Lover and Arabian Prince.
My God.
Yes.
Come on now.
I mean, I love it. So tell me about that. Tell me about those times where, because I really want to know like where you decided to like get your name Medusa. Ooh. And the Gangsta Goddess, because we know what Medusa does. You turned you to stone.
There it is.
I've seen you in the battle. I've seen you in the circle, and I've only seen it like I've only got blessed like twice to see it live, and that's amazing. Because I know I've heard the stories. You're legendary. You legendary, sis.
You know that's a transition from Lady Tic Tut to Medusa. Yes. Is a thing. It really is. Yeah.
Elaborate, please. Elaborate.
Okay. So know that our place in Pomona was the Pomona Fairgrounds.
That's right.
Anyone from LA would come to the Pomona Fairgrounds, and that's when you met different crews and understood what was popping in LA.
Right.
So that's where I met Heckle and Jekyll. You know, that's where I understood that Uncle Jam's Army and Egyptian Lover didn't just get down out in Pomona at Lucier's or those. So I'm like, okay, I got to go to Uncle Jam's Army.
Mm-hmm. And explain it to people like they don't know what Uncle Jam's Army is. Tell them.
That part. This is it. If you went to the sports arena, even in Pasadena, they had you're talking about thousands
I couldn't believe it.
Of youngsters that would come to this to dance. Now, back in the day, you know, you were doing the Lacoste, you were doing the Cutie Pie, you were doing the Freak, but the crews in pop locking were heavy. I'm talking the Time Bandits, Heckle and Jekyll, the Groovertrons, you know. We would get out there and have routine after routine after routine because you couldn't go in there lightweight. You couldn't just go in there and do a couple of moves. You better have a few routines or you're going to get got.
Yes.
So when you walked in, when you pulled up to the sports arena and Uncle Jam's Army was popping, that parking lot was full. You walked in, this whole arena was popping with dancers. You had D guys, Squally C, everyone from Uncle Jam's Army. You had, oh my God, Egyptian Lovers. You had, you name it, they were spinning.
Right.
And these heavyweight DJs, and you had Sister Silky D that provided the sound system for this.
Silky D.
A female. They wouldn't even have an Uncle Jam's Army without this sound system. Trust me.
Right.
So we would walk in, you could go from freaking, you could, no one was worried about drinking. We wasn't worried about smoking. We were worried about hitting that dance floor. Now know that there were freak crews too. The Freak Bandits, the Master Freaks. So if you did the freak well, you were in a crew. You were in your flip shirts, you got, you know, you had your penny loafers, you had your eyes on sweaters, you know, you was that type of cool back then.
I love it, yo. I love it.
Man. It was a thing. And then you had the OGs, the gangbangers would pull up in parking lot pimp. They'd roll around in they low riders hopping just to show out in the parking lot.
Wow.
And you pop lock out there too.
And there was no violence.
None. There's something about dance that just stunted that. It just threw it out the window. We would meet at places like in Westwood.
Right.
In Westwood, in the center, on every sidewalk just to battle. Venice Beach. Venice Beach, where there's graffiti art and there's stages and whatnot. We would meet in full regalia. I'm talking like, you know, the Hammer baggy pants and the baggy shirts so that you could see our wave.
All the belts and the buckles.
Yes. The bandanas tied around your knee. The whole it was the thing. So I know people out. Hey, exactly.
So you can get your.
Come on. You gotta see it. You gotta be able to see it. We weren't even there to touch the sand or be in the water. So I know there were other Venice Beach walkers wondering, what is this happening over in this section?
That is hip hop, yo.
It's hip hop.
So
hip hop, baby.
Okay, so then you became Medusa.
Well, no, it was I was doing a little hustling and did some jail time. And when I got out, while I was in there, I realized that a lot of the sisters in there were in there for either drugs, money, prostituting to support a drug habit, or just getting caught up. And what I saw and having to write letters for them to their man that was in the adjacent jail.
Wow.
Made me feel like, you know what? I need to be speaking and be a power source for these type of women.
Yes.
You know, if I'm a get out of here and use hip hop, this is how I want to do it.
Right.
So when I got out, my cousin Coco came and picked me up. And we went straight to the studio. Now, Coco used to sing in a band back in high school. So she had cold vocals. Right. And we went to the studio and started mixing our vibe together.
Wow.
I had to come up with a name. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a cold MC. I'm going to be called Medusa. I want to turn whack MCs to stone. Whew. That's what I'm going to do.
Yo.
And there we wrote the very first songs we probably recorded, which was how to Power of the P.
Power of the P. All right, hold up. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk more about the power of the P, yo, right here on Frequency. Oh, we got to talk about it. We got to do it.
No, we got to.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Back right here in the Frequency with my guest, Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess. Okay, we were just talking about the power of the P.
Hello.
Come on now.
Now look here.
Because that was the first song you recorded in the studio.
The first thing we wrote was the Power of the P and a song called Diva's Den. Mm-hmm. But the Power of the P, I was like, okay, no one is speaking on the power of that.
Right.
You know, they call it wet pussy. They go all out now.
Yeah.
But back then, we had to be clever. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was the power of the P, and then I came up with the hook. The power of the P is mesmerizing, hypnotizing. When it says jump, you say how high, see, while educatingly keeping you into the flow. Check out the rhymes and the topic that I chose, the P. It's heavenly bliss, one kiss on its lips, so exquisite, can you taste it? You know, it was very, very clever, like, you know, melodic, little vocal tricks, you know what I mean?
Lyrics right there.
Hey, so we decided, we're rolling down Crenshaw one night, after a session, and hit Exposition, looked to our right, and there was a crowd outside at this little cafe. And we were like, what's going on here? Our folks, our color, they young, let's pull over. We pull over and walk up into a place called the Good Life Cafe.
Woo, oh, yes.
So there's young MCs outside battling, they getting it. We're like, what is happening right now? So we found out from one of the brothers, like, yeah, this happens every Thursday night. It's called The Good Life. You could come in here and get on the open mic. You got to sign a list. We were like, oh, wow, we're going to come and try the power of the P here at this open mic. So we did it. The following Thursday, we walked in goddess gowns, the whole bit, signed the list. Nervous is I don't know what. Do you understand me? I actually feel a little bit of it right now talking about it, you know?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine you nervous. So that's
my God. Hey, but for the first time, like, we're about to showcase this song, Power of the P.
Yeah.
So B Hall, we realized that there was no cussing allowed in this space. And just so happened we didn't cuss in this song, so it was perfect.
It was amazing.
So we get called up, Sin. We called ourselves Sin. S-I-N. Strength in numbers. Let's go. We get up there. It's a slow, jazzy joint that Larnay Wilkerson was listening to some tracks that she had received, and she let us have the one that we dug, and that's what we did Power the P2. And We get up there, we doing it, and people are like paying attention. Then they start putting their lighters up, and they're like standing up like, what is happening right now? And I got to a part where I said, and cherries. So you decide to pick a cherry. And B Hall, it finally clicked what we were talking about and how we were doing it. She didn't know. It was like, they're not cussing, but it's so, wait a minute. And she came and took the mic from us. She made us stop. Hey, all that cherrying did it right there.
Come on. I mean, you guys are so smooth with it.
So that's not fair.
So the reaction from the crowd, though, was supportive.
It was everything. And you're talking about underground heavyweights like Freestyle Fellowship, like Fat Jack, Abstract and Tribe Unique, CVE. You know,
I heard people from all over, like even East Coast people and Midwest people. They would come to California and go to the Good Life.
Supernatural.
Yes.
Even the Alien Nation would come up in there. Ava DuVernay was part of a group called Figures of Speech, her and Giant. They were jazzy and had a funky, fast flow. Fly. This was the spot for unique hip hop out of LA.
Right. And so this is where you really develop your vocalized style. Because, I mean, a lot of your stuff is melodic. A lot of your bars are just, I mean, they're just so effortlessly. Like you do this thing on your IG page called Morning Bars.
Yeah, morning coffee bars. Yes.
I'm in the city looking pretty with Miss Kitty, no kid. Cause back at the spot we blew some dank and then we drank about a fifth. Rushing the club like VIP, cause you know we gotta piss. At least I do, but you know Miss Kitty, she just wanna prep. I get a dough man a hug, blow security a kiss. The crowd behind me's getting restless. Stop pushing me shit. They so pushy. Some of the brothers know we're feline, so they keep smacking, talking about, here, pretty pussy. Inside, Dusk has got the dance floor live. He give me a head nod, then he throw me a peace sign. He say, Queen Medusa's in the house. Ma, what? Ma, yeah, we loving the way you shine.
Coffee bars. And like, can you do one for us? Can you do one for us right now? Because, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, I just love it.
Hey, my book of rhymes hang in a museum. They heard the words I preach. Now they want to see them. Now I must admit I am an artiste. Each thought I lay on paper is a masterpiece of the mind. Ooh, a one of a kind. Ask me how I do it and I'll pour another rhyme on the canvas. Just when your mind couldn't fathom it. You know.
Yeah. Oh, sis, come on. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I know your skills. Your fans know your skills because you have a dedicated following. I don't understand why you are not more mainstream. Your talent is just undeniable. Your stage presence, your lyrics, your vibe, your style. You know what I'm saying? You check all the boxes.
Thank you.
So when I think about that, and I think about women of your skill, because there's more women out there like that, but they're not in the forefront, you know, when you think about hip hop right now. What do you think about that and the position that women are in hip hop right now?
Well, like
what I mean by that,
I would have to go here. Mm-hmm. First of all, the new music that I'm working on right now is an evolution of who I am and the funk that's always been in me. Right. You know, because I am from all that is funky. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That those are Parliament Funkadelic are the things that I listened to growing up. Right. So, and it being West Coast funk oriented out here, mm-hmm. what I was doing was high power for women. And if you are trying to make a collective of men stand up to their God potential and be something that they're not ready to be, right, they are not going to sign it. They kind of don't necessarily want it in their midst. You know what I mean? So, so during the 90s, that's kind of what I got caught up in. Mm. But I never lost focus on what I should be representing in this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was the reason for the live band. I grew up with Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire. So I wanted to incorporate those two things, those two dynamics together, and keep that vocal vibe going.
Right.
So it's all in God's time for me. Right now, I am working in Joseph Lineberg's studio, finishing up an album with Georgia Ann Muldrow. And I just got her and Joy's vocals on the rest of this project. This is something that Aloe Black put us together to do.
Okay.
And while we're finishing up some vocals, in walks Battle Cat. Now, Battle Cat has been around forever. We've ran into each other constantly.
Yes.
But right now, we are grown. We are in a space to embrace something ancient new. And he walked into a vibe that was already happening, bearing gifts of an incredible beat. And we killed that. This joint is called Seasoning. It is so cold. And now myself, Georgia Ann Muldrow, and Joy out of ATL are a group called Amethyst Sheen.
What?
So now is that time. People are grown enough and evolved enough to break open from their norm and embrace something ancient and new.
Yes.
And I might have been before my time during that time.
True.
And now women have opened the door to a conversation that needs to be had about our sensuality and sexuality being on the forefront when it's not necessary.
Right.
You feel me? That masculine, misogynistic attitude that desires a woman to be this way.
Right.
So women take that lead and they do just that for the attention, and not just that. Let's be real.
Yeah, not just that, because it's about having agency too.
Yes, yes. And it's about the conglomerate pushing forth what sells.
Right.
If that, you know, it's the ancient adage, sex sells. I get that. I get that. In addition to, when we are young, what did I say? Our dance was the freak.
Right.
When we're young, we're very we're sexually explorative.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Evolving.
Come on, there, because a prince at 19 was different than a prince at a 50.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. That part.
Come on now, but we can't constantly lean on the youth. There has to be a balance. There has to be an option.
That's my biggest beef right now with the state of hip hop. I don't feel like there's enough balance. There's not enough balance in it. You know what I mean? We're not hearing all the voices. We're just hearing some, louder than others. Oh, we got to talk more about the balance in hip hop. Hold on. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right now with Medusa on The Frequency.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Back right here in The Frequency with your host D Barnes and my guest Medusa, the gangsta goddess, the AKA the Angela Davis of hip hop. Okay, we gotta get into all of that, but we just left off on the balance part, and that's the part that is mind-boggling to me. Also, because I feel like there's just not enough of it. We have so many voices, so many different women voices in the industry, and they're not being heard. Why? Go ahead.
That is I don't know if you're familiar with Day One. Day One is a West Coast producer. Yes. He is very ill. He has a project called the Diamond Collective. And I believe that the 83 women that he has on this compilation.
83?
Yes, that have joined together. Some of them are like 5 on one song. It's different. Like myself, I have a joint called Flash on them, Smash on them, Bash on them, Swipe all the way left and hit the gas on them. Do what your mama taught you and have some class on them. Act crass on them. Spit that sass on them. So it's me. It is Gifted Gab. It is Natural Red. And oh my God, that's terrible. Slim. Anyway, there's 4 sisters on this.
Right.
So in this compilation, every woman has a different voice. There are vocalists. There are old school gangbanger sisters. There are new school voices that are doing that new type of trap funk stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he is creating that balance with this project. If I hadn't have been a part of this this compilation, I wouldn't have even realized some of these women existed.
Wow.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I had no idea there was so many voices out there. But 83, because I was familiar with the project. I started hearing rumblings about it, you know, like we're talking about it behind the scenes, like, yo, he's working on this project. It's all these women, you know, this is perfect. So how did that come together? Like, he reached out to you, or was it through the other women? He
definitely reached out to me. And he sent me this track, and I was greedy. I wrote a whole song to it, you know. And I got in the studio, and there were other women there, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a together. Well, I got a hook, I got a verse. Let's go. Yeah. And then I heard some of the other things, and this man has worked with SZA. He's worked with, you know, Dre, Snoop, Busta Rhymes. You know what I mean? So he came with the heat. He definitely did that, and every female did their thing on it. I was super impressed by the different styles and different voices, the wings that he gave us with this project. You know, I salute him, and I give him utmost props, because he did something that no one else, no other man was able to do on the West Coast. Right. So Day One, he did that.
Shout out to Day One. So when is the project coming out?
I think it's already dropped.
Oh, it already
check
dropped.
It out. Yes, Diamond Collective. Please check that out, y'all.
Diamond Collective. Yes, please check that out. Are you guys going to do any shows or touring on it?
I actually have a small tour coming up right now, and afterwards I'm going to run some of the sisters up the West Coast.
Nice. Yeah. Now,
I'm
besides
really
doing your performance, I mean, you've done work on soundtracks, right?
Yes, most definite. I did the first soundtrack I did was Stranger Inside. Mama Raised a G. I have that on the running credits. I also did Gridlocked, the music that Tupac and Tandy, all of them performed. I produced that music that they performed.
Wow, I didn't even know that. It's one of my favorites. Oh,
yeah, right?
I love that.
Like, Pac really did his thing in that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so it was interesting in the studio. That session was, you know, a lot of, yeah, Pac, yeah. And Pac saying, Medusa, what you think, though? And I'm like, you know, you were a little behind the beat right here. And he took heed and actually gave me my goddess grace and relayed it. You know, he's very personable. My brother looked out for me. And from that point on, me and him had a certain style of communication when we saw each other. I love that.
I love that you name, like, Day One, how he's looking out for the women, and something that Pac has done. I mean, because a lot of that does not happen in hip hop. We don't have enough of that unity right now. And I'm thinking about, like, other issues like, you know, homophobia in hip hop, and how. I mean, go ahead.
Come on, you're talking about somebody that was out. I was out in the 90s. Right. So they didn't quite know how to process me. You know, especially if I arrived in a slanted hat and a tie, and then turned around and had some hip hugger bell bottoms on and you know what I mean? So right now it's so okay. It's so wide open. They are truly having the dialogue, and it's kind of over the top for me. I'm like, we were already dealing with this one box that you didn't want to discuss. Now there are several boxes within this. Why are we trying so hard to fit in all these many boxes? Just be. I was just being, and I would speak on it. I don't mind saying who I am in my music. Don't be afraid to be who you are.
Exactly.
When you walk into the room, your energy speaks for itself.
There you go.
Come on now.
Yes.
And this is what I try to teach my students too. I teach at different youth programs. Mm-hmm. I also teach at Cal Arts. I've been there for 4 years now.
Wow.
So yeah. I try to make my students very comfortable with being their authentic self when they write, not appropriating a sound that they dig, not acting like you're from down south or speaking a slang that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
Being your authentic self.
So you're teaching writing, or you're teaching like songwriting? I
teach hip hop.
You teach hip hop.
Yes, the history, the trickle down of sounds, the elements. Ooh. And I also let my students know that it's 50 years old, but that is at an embryonic stage.
Right.
So you have a voice in this. What are you going to bring to hip hop? What is the new element you're going to bring to hip hop?
There we go. That's it. I want to end on that note. Thank you, sister. Thank you so much for coming on to The Frequency and just sharing your knowledge and your career. You, like I told you, I admire you so much. You're one of my favorites. Got to come see the new show. And I might even have to come through, bring a camera to the class.
Come on now.
Check that out. That would be so dope.
Come do that, mama. And check me out. I got a lot of shows coming up. If you're in LA for Juneteenth, that big celebration, they're honoring me too. So I'm really excited. We're doing the new Amethyst Sheen song that we did with Battle Cat for the first time in his set. And then I have a live set where the sisters are singing background with me, and we're doing a few songs that we have from Top Shelf Funk.
Okay. There we have it, y'all. Thank you so much for coming on The Frequency, y'all. We raising the vibration of the conversation right here. Celebrating hip hop 50th.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you. Thank you. And we out, y'all.
Yeah.